So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. We're just going to start with looking at his video. And this is, I'm suing these 3 creators, right? And spoiler alert, I am not one of those 3 creators. So let's get into it here.
My favorite hobby is spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on lawyers. Today, I invite you into my home.
Okay, first little comment here. And by the way, I am going to be pausing this all the way through. We're not going to just do a full watch through with I don't pause it. The lawsuit and the lawsuits could be hundreds of thousands of dollars, but honestly, the way he's dealing with it, he could probably get this done under 100K if he wanted to. And by the way, there are lawyers that will take this on a part contingency. So I'm not sure which lawyers he's working with, but it's possible that he could get this done for under 100K. So I don't know about hundreds of thousands of dollars, but okay.
Home to share my favorite pastime with you. Join me in creating generational wealth for my attorney. Let me tell you guys.
Yeah, and by the way, I see people in the chat saying, is it burning money illegal? I don't think that was real money. I think that was a prop. I'm pretty sure that was a prop.
As a story. About a year and a half ago, it's a big conversation called ReactGate. ReactGate was a debate going on in the streaming community about what constituted fair use. People like Hasan, XQC, and many of the large Twitch streamers would watch other creators' entire video on their stream. They would rarely add sufficient commentary or even pause the video to speak. Most egregiously, they would re-upload the entire VOD to YouTube with the same thumbnail, the same title, so that they could cannibalize traffic from the original video.
Okay, let's start with that. So let's start with some basic principles because he's building a foundation here. So at the core of copyright, and of course, this is a very fundamental point, copyright protections do start the moment you create a work. But at the fundamental analysis, I'm going to really break it down, is, okay, you've got your protections, but there is this exemption. There is this exception for fair use. Now, fair use is a case-by-case analysis. Every single video is different. So while one video may be fair use, another one might not. And 2 judges can look at the same video, and one could think the commentary is fair use, and one could think it's not. So it's very difficult to nail a copyright case and say, yep, that one is transformative and that one's not. However, what he is pointing out is a problem on all platforms, especially regarding cannibalizing traffic, because at the core of the analysis, and this is something I'm going to go back to time and time again, is, are you using your video as a substitute for the original video? If the answer to that is yes, this is a substitute for the original video, someone would watch your video instead of the original, then the judge is going to weigh on those scales on the side of this is not fair use, this is not protected, and you are violating your infringing copyright. So this is not something that's black and white. This is not something that is super objective. It is a subjective analysis based on several factors, but that substitute angle is the most important thing you should think about. Are they trying to use this as a replacement for the original? And are they doing it by taking the original wholesale? And that's why I've always said, including on my channel, I've said, look, I don't have a problem if anybody clips my stuff, etc. The only thing that is problematic is if you take the entire video with no commentary, no clipping, whatever, and you just re-upload it. That is a problem. That is a substitute. That is saying, okay, instead of going here, I'm just going to re-upload your video here. That's clearly infringement, right? So what these people are going to argue is, okay, well, does sitting in a chair in the corner fundamentally change that? And how much do you need to talk? How much do you need to interact? How much do you need to do in order for that to be transformative? Do you need to talk 10% of the time, 5% of the time, 25% of the time? What ratio of input is necessary for something to be transformative? And that's a very important question. And I do feel that there are judges that could think either way. But we're going to get into it because these specific examples are important. But more broadly, a lot of people do this. A lot of people just watch videos, sit in the corner in the little cube, and really don't add much and really don't have much to add. And I'm not even going to point out whether it's educational or not. I'm just talking in general for commentary. Just sitting in the corner and not doing much. Yeah, that's not really adding too much to the overall conversation.
what Lamino had to say about this phenomenon.
I don't mind people reacting to my videos, but I do mind when they play the entirety of my video. A face cam in the corner or the occasional interruption does nothing to address that issue. My video is still being played from beginning to end in someone else's stream or video. It's neither ethical nor necessary to feature the entirety of someone else's work. Or, they could do the bare minimum and ask for permission.
So I will say this. This is my comment on that, is that it sometimes is necessary to show the whole thing because you need the context of the whole work. So if you're going to give an opinion, you're going to give a reaction, you're going to comment on something, you want to comment on the entirety. Just commenting on a clip can often be out of context. Oftentimes, if you just take 30 seconds or 45 seconds or 1 minute of something, that's not the full context of the conversation. And in fact, I would encourage people to look at the whole thing because oftentimes people are not looking at everything they're saying. Now, mind you, maybe looking at like super chats or something else, rewatching a live is not necessary. Okay, whatever. But in general, if someone is trying to give a message, you would want them to fully respond to that. However, you'd want them to actually be contributing a response, right? That's optimistically. But let's continue. And by the way, I've always said this. If someone is commenting on my stuff and they watch the whole video, that's fine for me, right? For me. But others may feel differently about that. And many people, by the way, and I'll know by the poll, many people think reaction channels are just content leeches. So we'll see what the poll comes out. I'm going to leave it up for a while.
Something that none of the major reaction channels have ever done when they've streamed or re-uploaded my videos. But to answer your question, no, I don't want people to stream or re-upload the entirety of my videos.
Now, understandably, this made a lot of people angry because why should these content thieves essentially get more views than the author of the video, which in a lot of cases was happening? I mean,
well, okay, I'll tell you this. There's one reason why. Number one, the author might be boring as hell. They might be really freaking boring. Sometimes people they're just paint drying. So the person commenting on it can bring the animation, can bring the personality, can bring the comments that really bring it to life. And you see that with certain channels. I think Asmongold is a great example of he can watch something that would be objectively boring otherwise, perhaps, or maybe not that interesting. But then by commenting on it, it brings out a different facade because you're bringing out a comment on an aspect of something. So saying, hey, this particular thing is interesting. Let's talk about that. Or maybe it's something that's not said, right? So you're watching a video and they're talking about, anything, right? The crime of murder, right? And they're talking about how bad it is, right? But maybe they leave out false convictions and you want to talk about false convictions. There could be something that's brought up that's relevant that's not in the video. So let's continue.
People don't like injustice, and we all see this and know it's not right. This debate culminated when XQC, one of the prime suspects, called in at my show to debate me, in which case I'm sad to report that I was terribly owned. So in that regard, do you care at all about like IP or copyright or like the fact that it's illegal? Does that matter? That it might be illegal, does that matter to you?
No.
It doesn't matter.
Well, if flat out doesn't, because...
Well, that's fair.
Okay, that's content though. There are some people that would watch a guy do the worm for a week. I'm not gonna lie. The internet's a weird place. Some people would watch that. I mean, let's be real.
I kid XQC, but he is not the one I'm suing. Despite my criticism, he's not a malicious infringer, but the ones I am.
So there's a key word he used, and I do love that he used the French because he's Quebecois. That is good. I will say, you know what? I'm going to give it a point on that. One thing he used there, an important word, is malicious. So key in on that word, because that may be the thing that screws the reaction channels that he's suing. And that may be the line that the judge draws between these people infringing and other reaction channels. Because, by the way, I don't think he would win against other reaction channels. I think there's other channels that react to content or watch this whole video that he would lose against. But I think that word malicious may ultimately be the key.
Am suing, you'll see, are much, much worse. Now, ironically, after this debate and in the wake of this large conversation, the problem seems to have only gotten worse. You have people like Hasan Piker paving the way of fair use with what's known as chair reacts. When Hasan gets up to go to the bathroom or to eat or to talk to his mom or to do whatever, disappears for an extended period of time. There's a video playing for his chair. Mr. Chair, they call it.
IDF had warned people to leave the area around the main airport in Sana. Then this.
Where can we tissue?
Well, I've been seeing
I mean, to be honest, in most cases, I just think that's laziness, and that's just the format and maybe the way it lends itself to. There are certain points at which, and I can empathize with this as a law tuber. If we watch, for example, a court case, there are points at which, if we watch an 8-hour-long court case, that we have to pee, or we have to go get some food, or we get a phone call, whatever. Something happens during an 8-hour-long court case. You got to get up, you got to do something, you got to use the bathroom. I don't think necessarily getting up once or twice. However, if the majority of the content or the video is an empty chair, or more time is an empty chair than you're commenting, yeah, I do think that that could be a potential problem.
And it was in this setting that I formulated an idea. What if I could make a long form, irresistible piece of content that I knew that these streamers couldn't resist? They couldn't avoid the temptation of watching it the second it was published.
I don't have an issue with them.
It's not that I wanted these people to steal my video. It's that I knew they would.
See that, and that's the defining line, I think, that keeps it. You know, people mention trap, right? Trap versus knowing someone's going to steal. So that's the dividing line. And if you know the channels, it is pretty predictable that they would react to it in that way, because that's what they do. That's what they do with everything, right? So if someone does that with everything, it's predictable they would continue to do that with future content.
I knew they would watch the entire video, add little to no commentary, react to it instantly, giving them no time to form an opinion. The trap was set, and it worked even better than I imagined it would. We captured pretty much every large streamer reacting to it in its entirety immediately after it was published.
Excuse me, Ethan. Excuse me, Ethan. I did not react to this. I did not react to that. I did not react to that at all. Do you know why? There was no legal issue in that. So a lot of people wanted me to talk about that and wanted me to get into that. But at that point, it hadn't risen to, is there a legal question here? What's going on? Is this defamation? Because he hadn't said, hey, I'm suing or whatever else. None of that was at stake there. So for me, looking at that, I actually thought at the moment to myself privately, this could escalate into something legal. And I was actually thinking at the moment, is this going to escalate into defamation, slander, some sort of, legal suit over what they're saying about each other? That's the direction I thought. And to be honest, I was surprised when it played out this way, when it played out the copyright angle versus a defamation angle or some other sort of angle. So this is actually, to me, was kind of surprising, and it was an interesting surprise, but actually a pleasant one, because it gives me an opportunity to talk about the law in an objective way without going into the personalities themselves. So a pleasant surprise.
Now, the thing is, there were a few people that went above and beyond to commit copyright infringement. For example, Denim sits here silently with nearly 50,000 live viewers. That's 30 times her regular viewership. She's working directly with the Snark subreddit moderators to siphon views, and their intention.
So this is really bad. This is the really bad one. There's having a documented list where you can say, we're going to watch it without supporting H3. It's intentionally, and that's where the word maliciously comes in, maliciously trying to siphon views and be used as a substitute. That's not good. That's not good. It's not a good look.
if you enjoyed not giving any views to that terrible video, follow, subscribe, throw a prime.
See, so that's where she screws herself. So she's literally saying, don't give views to it and give me money. That is the definition of substitute. That's where she screwed herself. She literally saying, I am the substitute, give me money. I am making money instead.
It turns out they just do it for you. You couldn't cook up a more incriminating statement if you tried. Denim's the queen of self-owning. You prevail again. There's one thing about copyright you should know is that you got to register it before you publish to be eligible for statutory damages and attorney's fees, which is the main biting force of a copyright infringement lawsuit. Well, I'm happy to tell you guys now, I, Ethan Klein, have registered Hasan Piker Content Nuke with the United States Library of Congress. Some of you guys out there sweating? Even though theoretically I could sue a lot more creators and rake in millions of dollars, but the purpose of this is not financial gain. People like XQC and Asmongold may have watched the entire thing, but I would never sue them.
He would lose. So this is where I think he would lose. I don't think he would win against Asmongold. I think he would 100% lose, probably against XQC as well. Right. I haven't watched XQC's video on this. Watched a little bit of Asmongold's, which is why I can say that. But I'm very certain he would lose against Asmongold.
Just for doing that. I don't want to chill the reaction community into fear. Actually, the opposite. I hope that we can all unite against this type of egregious behavior that not only makes us all look bad, but could destroy the commentary community as we know it.
Well, guys, if you enjoyed not giving any views to that terrible video, follow, subscribe, throw a prime.
They all met this very specific high bar of criteria that I set forth earlier. These people were not targeted based on their gender, their identity, their political beliefs. All three are on this list. In fact, they're the only three, as far as I could tell, that reacted to the full video. Drum roll, please. Who's sweating at home, guys? Casey Tron, the queen of ripping farts and bong loads.
Dog, what do you look? You think I made this?
Frogan, who, bless her soul, she's still rising.
Can I walk away and use the bathroom? Do I have permission? Can I use the bathroom, please? I'll leave it playing.
Apparently thinks Twitch is liable for me interviewing a Yemeni teenager who's only known genocide his entire life.
What happened?
And Denim's the queen of self-owning. And my God, is she the queen of that?
It's very obvious from the way that guy's talking, he's a Sneeko fan.
Oh my God, bro. I love you, Hasan. Can I give you a hug, bro?
I'm so sweaty, bro.
I love you, bro.
None of the hostages that have been released so far have said that they have been raped. The hostages have public statements. You can go look at them.
The sexual assault I experienced should never happen to any human being.
This Yemeni kid is just a Yemeni kid with a gun and is not a Houthi, and there is no proof of him being a Houthi.
Are you a soldier? Yes. That seems pretty definitive.
He never said Hasan Nasrallah was a good guy.
I can't believe I'm calling Nasrallah base. I mean, listen.
Now for the fun part. Let's take a look at the...
Once again, I'm just commenting on the legal stuff, not the opinion stuff or the substantive stuff or the underlying issues, right? So, you know, their individual opinions on their disagreements with each other, et cetera, that's not really relevant to copyright infringement. So no comment.
Complaints. And let's start with my favorite of the three, the very own, the prestigious, the highly acclaimed, the highly analytical Casey Tron.
A lot of people have been wanting to watch this without necessarily supporting Ethan Klein. So we're going to watch it.
Well, that's a really dumb thing to say, don't you think?
Yes, he's correct about that. Her saying that without supporting Ethan Klein, once again, that's a substitute nature. So that's where he gets into, that's where he's hitting it on the head. And that's, you know, I assume Ethan has had a conversation with his lawyers. Unlike many other creators who just get on and blab and run their mouth, this is a pre-recorded video. It's not a live. So I'm sure he sat down and had a conversation with his lawyers. I'm sure his lawyers watched this video and they're like, yep, looks good. Send it out. So, you know, that's something that is a check mark in his box on that side.
Tron smokes 42 times during her reaction. And just as a silly thought experiment, we thought, wouldn't it be funny if she spent more time smoking than she did talking, and thinking there was no way that that could be true. Well, we tallied them up, and lo and behold, there's 15 minutes, 40 seconds of commentary versus 18 minutes and 55 seconds of smoking. She spent 3 minutes and 15 seconds longer smoking than she did talking in her quote unquote reaction. And whatever talking she did was just to express how confused she was, presumably from smoking 42 times.
What is happening? I'm trying to follow. I've lost the plot.
The complaint continues. Indeed, Casey Tron is often too obliterated to comment on the nuke and instead stares blank.
This is good. This is good legal writing. Like putting obliterated. The word obliterated is funny, but it's not inappropriate. It's not inaccurate. It's good legal writing. This is very good legal writing. At one point she's so wasted. Like, once again, it just makes you chuckle a little bit, right? And that's what the judge is doing. The judge is a human being. They're not a robot.
Stating outright that her intention of doing this is so that people who don't want to support me can watch it through her is why copyright infringement laws exist. You could not and should not do that, especially if your commentary consists of you taking bong loads. At least try to engage with the content. Whoa, what was that? Oh, sorry. That was a flying star. It almost got me. You know her and you love her, guys.
And what is good here, and this is something that was pointed out over my locals, I do like that he's like, let me page back here a little bit.
Frogan. It almost got me. You know her and you love.
Okay. I do like that he's showing the complaint because she's showing he actually filed. You know, when you see the complaint, you know it's real. You know it's filed. It's not just talking smack. It's not just something that you're thinking about doing. You've actually filed. You've actually filed. It's great.
Love her, guys. Frogan. Reaction by exiting. Here she is getting up to leave the video running as she steps out of the room. Is that transformative? We'll decide. She said, quote, "It's time to watch the new nuke ethically. Hell yeah." Huh. Very smart to say on camera, by the way. She said, quote, "Thank you guys so much. I do appreciate everyone's support. Thank you for watching it with me." Well, you are so welcome, and I'm so glad that you were able to enjoy that day. As lazy and pathetic as her reaction is, this is not why she's getting sued. This is.
Thank you guys so much. I do appreciate everyone's support. And thank you for watching it with me. First time viewer, time to watch the nuke ethically. Hell yeah. I found my way from Reddit. Hi guys, welcome Reddit people. Reddit people, Reddit people. I came from the H3 Snark Reddit. Ethan is so pathetic while Hasan is in Japan. I'm bothered having a great time. Exactly. We're gonna watch it live, yes. He doesn't want people to know when it's dropping because we're all watching through other streamers. And I suggest you all watch it through other people as well.
It's the
See that's the comment. That's the comment that damns her right there. It's not the chair stuff. It's that comment. I actually think that's the thing that the judge could come down and say, "Yep," because you literally said that. You said, I would advise you don't watch his video and you watch us." That might be the thing that they draw the line and say, that's where these people crossed over. See, Denims did it. She did it there. Very clear that she wants it to substitute for Ethan's video.
I learned not to steal when I was 5. Up next is Denims. And honestly, just take a look at this, guys. It's a nightmare on Denim Street. Not only did she...
Okay, that's kind of... I think they... Okay. Okay. Real quick. The Casey Tron one, she smoked more than she spoke. That was funny. Nightmare on Denim Street. I think that's a little pushing it. They could come up with a better one than that. I'm gonna objection on that one. I mean, I like the legal humor, but that one, I don't know.
Denim said, quote, "Well, guys, if you enjoyed not giving any views to that terrible video, give me a follow, subscribe, throw a prime if you like my content." Your content? The Queen of Self-Own and countdown timer so we could tell exactly how long she was away. After being gone for a few minutes, she returns and then sits silently for another couple of minutes eating.
I'm gonna go pee, and hopefully when I'm back, they're done with this.
Yeah, you do look better.
Mr. 305. I see it.
Dude, you should do this.
I have an alternate.
we're relying on you to stay live so we don't give more views on the nuke. Yeah, I'm gonna stream it. Since he confirmed it's coming out today, we're gonna stream it. If you want to watch it with someone else who's already watching it, come enjoy the watch party somewhere else. If you enjoyed not giving any views to that terrible video, follow, subscribe, throw a prime. If you like the content, if you enjoyed your time here, because I'm going to be honest, I did not want to watch that by myself.
Let me also commercialize it by asking you to reward me financially for stealing his content. That is like chef kiss, by the way.
So that's where we get into. So somebody mentioned statutory damages. So statutory damages is something that's prescribed by the statute. But beyond that, you can say, hey, I lost revenue, and the revenue they gained I would have had. So you can make that argument for that revenue in addition to the statutory damages. See, so there's a large amount of damages. Just because there's statutory damages doesn't mean you're precluded from going after compensatory damages or other forms of damages, right? So that's an additional. It's like an and one. It's an extra point. It's it's more, right, than you would normally get. So that's a good thing, at least for Ethan, if he wins.
Always delivering the goods. She went on this dude's podcast to debate fair use. And would you be surprised if I told you she said a lot of incriminating things in that podcast? The queen of self-own never disappoints.
I want to be clear on my opinion on like filler content and stuff. Like I think filler content, like you shouldn't do it. I know I do it as a React stream. And I try to do it only when I do it with like Vox videos or Vice videos and stuff like that, because at least I'm not like directly ripping from one content creator and not like a whole team and stuff. And most of those videos have like 5 million views. I only get like 500 viewers. I'm taking maybe 50 views from the video. It's a lot harder to feel like, I guess, bad about that. Whereas like I would feel very bad about doing that to like a single content creator.
That's not how the law works. By the way, that's not how the law works. The law doesn't care whether you are a large creator or whether you're a small creator. And that's not going to matter at all. Her feelings, once again, and like what she says there, she says repeatedly, her feelings, I would feel. The law doesn't give a shit about your feelings. It is what it is, right? Regardless of whether you feel bad about it or not. Some people don't feel bad about stealing, but that's still a crime, right? Some people don't feel bad about murder. It's still a crime, whether you feel bad about it or not.
That, my friend, is called theft, and you're a thief. And now I'm suing you. This is just a testimony to how brazen and how safe they've, gotten. That she thinks she can go out in public on video and say, like, I'm stealing this content because I want to. I'm coping, even though I know it's stealing. When people watch it with me, they're definitely not going to go watch the original. Like, you are way too comfortable committing crimes out in the open. Well, there you have it.
I do appreciate. He said that is not a crime; it's a civil offense. Yes, that is a good. His lawyer probably caught that one. You can tell the lawyer watched this one because that is a good clarification. It is not a crime; it is a civil offense.
3 separate lawsuits for 3 separate geniuses. Now, I want to make it clear again, and I hope it's been obvious about why I'm suing these 3 people and not others. These people not only violated all of the principles of fair use, they also did it maliciously. And that's the part that really got me. I think if you're a reactor on Twitch, for the most part, if you make a good faith effort to comment, and if you make a good faith effort to promote the author, to link to them, to try to drive traffic to the original video, I think you're probably pretty much doing the right thing. And
okay, so now he's making a moral argument here. So I'm gonna push back a little bit against Ethan, a little bit. He is now making a moral argument. This is not the law. The law is not good faith effort. It's transformative. And transformative, could be something that he might not consider a good faith effort, but it might still transform the content, right? So that's a little bit, he's going into an area where, okay, I see where you're going and you're leaning on the moral side. If your definition of good faith effort is transformative, okay, yes, but that's not necessarily where the line is drawn. But I see what he's getting at.
And that's fine. And I would never sue someone for that. Take it to these 3 absolute morons to state their intention to steal my property on video. And to all the detractors who are saying that I'm targeting women, that I'm a hypocrite for suing for copyright infringement, I just have this to say. I don't care. What I do hope, though, is that you'll support their crowdfunding efforts to defend themselves. Because let's face it, I want to make sure there's money left over for me when I win my lawsuits. Thanks for watching, everybody. It's been a great time. I'll see you around.
Okay, so that's the video there. That's what we have for that one. Interesting. I think once again, my final assessment here is that Ethan does have a chance to get past the motion to dismiss, to get past the slap statutes, and to get to discovery. I don't know whether he will ultimately prevail at trial, but I do think he has a good shot. I think he has a very, very good shot with these 3 specific targets. And I will say at the end, he said, how are they picked? I mean, people will also say, and I see people saying in the super chats that they're all, Hasan orbiters. Okay, that's fine. Obviously, there's a personal grudge, but he did not choose to go after Hasan. He chose to go after these specific people. And those statements were very damning, very damning.